That was the most infuriating television I've seen in quite some time. Hello everyone, I'm Tyrone with the Circle Club. Thank you so much for all the comments in the last few videos. So sad that this series is ending because it's been so good and all the comment section has been crushing it. Let's keep it up together. Let's start out with the Grassos. So Albie still seems unaware that his dad and Lucia know each other. I don't think he's completely ignorant of what's going on. I feel like we all think he's naive and doesn't know anything. I think he knows that they know she's a sex worker, but I don't think he knows anything at all about the relationship that they had prior. But Albie says, hey, Lucia is going to come as a translator for us as we go on this voyage to find our ancestors in Italy. And as they are going to find their roots, Lucia's pimp Alessio is following them. Alessio is afraid that she's gonna run away or leave or something here. But eventually they stop the car and they're like, we have to deal with this because, I mean, they're gonna come for us or her, or we just gotta figure this out right now. And so there's this standoff looking back and forth. And I'm like, yo, the Grassos are kind of crazy for what they're doing right now. And Dom, I'm not even gonna lie, Dom was sort of looking like a boss. I found out that Michael Imperioli was in The Sopranos. I haven't seen The Sopranos, I've only seen one episode, but he definitely got that mob mentality with him. So I was like, yo, what is Dom about to do here? What are you about to get into? But ultimately, Lucia tells everyone to cool it, chill out. She's gonna go with Alessio. This is what she has to do. And that they just sort of drive away and they go their separate ways. But they are worried, and Bert was like, you guys can't let her go with these gangsters, these hooligans. Like, what are you doing? Like, she's gonna get abducted, which is the name of the episode. And they don't know if they're ever gonna see her again. I mean, we don't know if this is gonna be the last moment we see Lucia. But the men tether on and they go to find their roots. Eventually, when the Grassos arrived to their ancestors' home, they were hoping to be welcomed home and have this sort of mutual interest that they would be interested in them. I thought this was really symbolic of their relationship with the women in their life at home. You know, I think they like to go around and play games and have their fun and think that they can come home and the women are going to welcome them with open arms. And it just doesn't happen. And, you know, later when these men are at dinner together, we see Bert sort of break down. And he's just like, you know, I just really never saw it or thought it would be this way. You know, I could have stayed home if it was going to be like this, where I just would never be accepted, or, you know, no one would like me for who I am. And it's a sad moment because it's sort of like Bert is at the end of his life and he's realizing all of the mistakes he's made he can't take back. And, you know, he's going to go to the grave on his own. He doesn't have anyone. I think Dom is sort of that common denominator between Albie, who's way over here, and Bert, who's way over here. And I think, you know, he's going to tell Albie, look, I know that you care about Lucia and, you know, it is a sad situation, but you can't go and help every woman who is suffering. And I think Albie sort of has this mentality of, look, we have enough money to help this woman, why don't we do it? Which leads us to Albie and Lucia on the beach. They have this really nice, sweet moment with each other. You know, a lot of people in the comment section, they thought Lucia was going to betray Albie, that she was just using him because he was naive, but she has completely opened up to him. I mean, she told him that she was a sex worker. She told him about the situation with Alessio, and, you know, even when Albie has offered to help, she's like, no, it's not your problem. And I think, ironically, Albie is sort of this getaway for Lucia. It's almost like Albie is the vacation for Lucia. And I think that makes sense because Albie is just very sweet-hearted. He's wholesome. He really just has a positive outlook on the world. And I think Lucia's dark world, she just has no light whatsoever. So I think that's what Albie really provides for her. Unfortunately, I don't think she's going to be able to leave Italy, but I think that would be a sweet ending. And how do you guys feel about that? Like, do you want the White Lotus to end on these sour notes every season, or do you want to see something positive happen? Next, we have Ethan and Harper. Lord, these two. You know, the sad thing about these two is they're so close, but it's just the communication that is really not there. So Harper still doesn't believe Ethan, and he says that they've always been honest to each other, they've never lied to each other, and then she says, well, we've lied about being attracted to each other, and he sort of has this face of like, what are you talking about? And she just calls him out and says, you know, we're not attracted to each other. Like, and I think Harper doesn't feel good enough or worthy in this new wealthy lifestyle that they're living because she was with him prior to that. But after they have this sort of, I wouldn't say heartfelt moment, but they do confide in one another, Harper and Ethan do agree that they love each other and that they have some work to do. So they sort of leave the hotel with this mindset of almost, like, you know, things aren't finished, but let's just kind of like work through this and get through the day. But Harper then later sees Ethan talking to Lucia and Mia because they approach him. And this is where Ethan screwed up, because he should have just told Harper then and there, those sex workers came up to me because Cam didn't pay them. But he tries to protect Daphne's feelings, which is literally the same exact thing that happened with Cam. He's thinking about everyone else's feelings but his own wife's. Gentlemen, if you're watching this, let that be a lesson to you in life. No one matters but your significant other. Harper still doesn't believe Ethan, so later when the gang goes to the beach, Daphne gets offered a massage for one, so she's off. And then Cam asks Ethan to have a drink, and Ethan is sort of have this look like, listen man, I'm done drinking he's like, I'm not drinking for the rest of this trip, man. Like, I'm all set. And you would think that that little moment there with Harper would make her sort of go, yeah, I think Ethan's really eating this guilt and not feeling it. But because she just saw him with Lucia and Mia, she doesn't really know what to believe. So she's like, you know what? Let me egg him on a little bit. Let me play with his feelings a little bit. And this is the only poor move I would say Harper has made the entire show. And I have empathy for her. I get it. I totally get it, because you know what? From her perspective, she doesn't really know what's going on. Maybe he is telling her that everything is fine, but it's actually not fine. Something did happen. But she goes over there to have that conversation. And I think Cam genuinely did tell her what happened. I think she asked. And you guys got to remember, Harper is not coming from this wealthy world, so she's being influenced a little bit, but I don't think her entire morality would change from 4 days in Italy. But who knows? I think when Cam puts his arm on her, he's sort of going like, you had nothing to worry about him. He's a great guy. He's a great kid. Nothing happened. He loves you. But she wanted to play more into it. Ethan can't stand the sight of Cam being around his woman because of the past, so he's insecure. He decides to go into the water to cool off. Another symbolic moment. A lot of times in television and movies, when someone goes into the water, it's either because they're cooling off or because there's sort of this Christian rebirth where they're going to become someone else. And I think Ethan sort of has both here, where he comes out a different man. He's like almost possessed. Like, he comes out of the water, he doesn't see the two, starts freaking out a little bit. He like jets to this room. All he can think about is, what is going on? Where's my wife? He goes to the door. Boop, 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 boop. I mean, like, bro. Yo, Ethan went crazy. Like, I was like watching this man, like, I didn't know as a Scorpio to be proud of the jealousy that this man, because I was like, he loves this woman that much that he's going crazy. But at the same time, I was like, bro, you gotta chill out, man. Like, take it easy. What I think happened, I believe Harper locked the door on purpose, opened up the other room just to screw with him. I mean, we may never find out if Harper actually did get with Cam, but, you know, like I said, we have to just rely on what we've seen in this show so far. And up until this point, she has been very disgusted with who Cam is as a person. And honestly, I think Harper's morality would really be Cam just got with two hookers, as she called them. I don't think that would make him more attractive to her at all. I think this is all about just trying to get a little even with Ethan. But the problem is if that's not your game, if that's not your style, your relationship, you really shouldn't fall down to it, because it just tumbles and tumbles and becomes more and more toxic. Credit to Will Sharp, who plays Ethan. He really just nailed that scene to me. And as the two walk out, we see Cam come out the door with his book and a towel. And could Cam really be a reader? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it does seem a little suspicious. It's like the meathead went go back to get a book. I don't know. I mean, maybe he did that earlier in the season. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I missed that, but that is when I was like, okay, now I'm a little suspicious of what's going on here. Eventually, when Ethan gets one-on-one with Cam, he is not playing games. He has no time for the foolishness. He approaches him. He's like, were you in that room? He's like, bro, I was not in the room. I don't know what you're thinking. He's like, do not with me, I will you up at this table right now. And I was like, bro, again, Ethan is a dog. He's not playing. And look, yes, was Ethan still going wrong? I said it the last video. I think Ethan was wrong because he should have never put Harper in that position. But for him to be like, yo, I don't got time for this. I'm not playing any games. I was like, you know, this is who you should have been from the front. You know, you should have been up like in the beginning like this to tell Cam, look, I don't want Harper thinking this. I don't want anything to confuse her or upset my marriage. Like, this is who you should have been from the front, buddy. But Cam claims nothing happens. Ethan is not buying it at all. And boy, oh boy, is he losing it. And ultimately, he's losing it because he feels guilty about putting Harper in that situation. So now he's just starting to project. I don't know. I really don't know if Harper did anything. My gut tells me that if this was realistic, she wouldn't. But because this is a show and it's all drama, she may have. And I don't know. I like those two together, despite them being a little bit vanilla. I think that's realistic in some relationships. It's like a relationship isn't always going to be the honeymoon phase. There's things that you have to work on and constantly evolve. And I think a lot of people see relationships as this complete thing once you get, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend, you become married, you have kids, but it's constantly evolving. You constantly learn about each other and, you know, hear each other's sides. And I think that's what a really healthy relationship is. And in that moment in the room where they both sort of acknowledge, okay, we aren't attracted to each other, we sort of need to figure this out and work on that. That was sort of the first positive stepping stone. And I think this couple isn't necessarily ready to call it quits, but this moment could really define if they are together or not. Next up, we got Valentina. Valentina, it is her birthday, so she invites Isabella out. She's trying to get a little bit bolder. She ultimately gets rejected, and not only that, it turns out Isabella was dating Rocco the whole time, and now they're engaged. So, you know, everyone's like, is Isabella just naive? Is she not picking up the signs? Like, what is it? What's going on with her? Well, yeah, she was dating someone else. She just really thought Valentina was being nice, which is sad for Valentina, who's never even gotten with a woman. She's very curious about her sexuality at this point in her life, has never actually explored with another woman. So she ends up canceling the birthday, says no, she's got too much work, she's done. She's pretty heartbroken, honestly, about this. So she decides to get drunk. And they're like, whoa, we never even seen you get drunk at this bar before. And Mia is out there singing, and she approaches her, and they have this heart-to-heart moment. And Mia says she's going to give her a birthday gift, which is a little fun back in the hotel, as a thank you to Valentina for allowing her to fulfill her small dream of singing. Now, I don't know if she's going to expect something back from her or to get that job full-time, but these two do share a moment, and Valentina explodes. Next, we got Portia and Jack. I was stunned that Tanya didn't tell Portia what was going on. I, for the life of me, cannot understand why Tanya did not tell Portia what is going on here. But what she does tell her is she doesn't think that Jack is his nephew, and she's sort of picking up some vibes from it. And Portia's just sort of like, where's this coming from? And again, this is a moment where Tanya could have been honest with her and told her what was going on and really prevented from all this stuff from going on. But she told Portia to get her shit together and that she sees a lot of her in Portia. And Portia's just sort of looking at her like, that's rich coming from you, who's constantly a train wreck. But I think Portia sort of takes her advice slightly, and as she's walking around, Jack pops up. And she's not really sure what to believe at that moment. I mean, it's a very sketchy comment to tell someone and then not give them context. So she's sort of like, okay, I'll go with you into the city. Jack is just getting trashed, and he does everything he can to prevent her going back to this party. Portia picks up on it pretty early that there's something a bit off. Like, why do you want us not to go to this party so bad? He literally abducts her, essentially, and doesn't let her leave the hotel. Jack gets super trashed at the end of the night, starts crying, and tells her that he owes Quentin everything because he was in a bottom of a barrel and a ditch. You know, he really got him out of the slums. And he also reveals that Quentin is broke, but that tonight that all changes. So that lets us know that this plan that they had is underway, something's going on, but he won't let her leave the hotel. It's bad. I mean, I said Episodes and episodes ago, I said Portia is going to regret going with Jack versus Albie. And let that be a lesson to you ladies out there. The fun bad boy is not always the route that you want to go. You know, it's sort of like when people say, oh, you want to be a gangster? You want to be a tough guy? And then they get out there and they don't got that heart. Go with the nice guy. Go with the simple life. Go with the easy life, because that is always the safe route. You can live your life in plenty of other adventurous ways, but when it comes to putting your life on the line and threatening, you just go the safe route. Which leads us to the final person, Tanya and Quentin. Quentin says that Tanya is going to be the guest of honor at this party. They're just dazzling people here and beautiful dresses, and it's just a fairy tale to Tanya, you know? Now here is where the end game starts to show. Quentin wants Tanya to get all drugged up so they do some coke together. There's this boy toy guy here who's flirting and touching with her and making her feel pretty. This is something that she had told Quentin in private before, that she just always wanted to feel loved and pretty and welcomed. Tanya and the boy toy decide to walk off, and as they're starting to kiss and he's getting ready, Tanya notices a photo on the counter. And she notices Greg is in the photo with Quentin when they were younger. Greg and Quentin were lovers. I don't know how you people figured this out, but oh my god. It all starts to make sense. Greg didn't want her assistant there, right? Because they were setting her up here. When Greg was on the phone talking, she thought he was cheating, but he was actually talking to Quentin this whole time. Now, they were talking about how they had a prenup when they got married, so they don't have to worry about the money. But there's probably something in there to annul the marriage, like if Greg or Tanya cheats. So I believe Quentin is setting Tanya up here. Who knows how he does it? A photo, maybe he's got videos in the room, something going on where they're going to catch her in the act, and then that way, all their pockets get fat. But I don't know, there's something going off in my noggin where I'm like, I think Tanya is smarter than we think. Tanya knows that Jack is not related to them. Now, I think the average person would go, oh my god, this guy is sleeping with his nephew? Like, what the hell is going on here? That tells me that Tanya's been around the block. You know, a lot of you in the comments said that this was something that was pretty common in the queer community, where an older man will take a younger boy, and they're of age, but they'll, just to make it easier and walking around, they'll say, oh, this is my nephew. That tells me Tanya knows sort of this culture of the gay community, that she's been to parties and gone around. She even mentions how this isn't the first time that she's done coke, but it's been a while. I think her seeing that photo of Greg, it clicks in her head everything that's going on here. But it looks like she still goes through with the boy toy and they have sex with each other. But I mean, there's something where I'm like, I don't think Tanya is going to be that naive. This episode was called Abductions, so let's talk about who was abducted. With the Grassos, you had Lucia, who was gone. With Ethan and Harper, it was Harper who was technically abducted by Cam. With Valentina, you have her who was abducted by Mia. With Portia and Jack, Portia was abducted. With Tanya and Quentin, you have Tanya who's technically abducted. I would argue all of those people are sort of the protagonists of this season. They all come into this situation and leave a completely different person, in my opinion. Now, everyone is curious about the murders of this show. You know, now we are at episode 6. We got all this information. So now it's time to guess who we think is going to be killed. All right, I'm here editing this, and now I'm wondering, maybe it's Cam who dies because he doesn't pay back Alessio his money. So maybe it's Alessio, Cam, Quentin and his buddies, and I don't know if Jack is involved, but maybe Jack just by proximity. But those are the people I think. I think everyone else is safe, but those are the main folk that I think are in trouble. Only one episode left. I can't believe it. I love this show. Can't wait for season 3. Let me know in the comments section what you guys all think, and where do you want to see the White Lotus take place in season 3? Remember, everyone has their own opinion down in the comments, so be kind to one another. No fighting down there. I really hate that stuff on YouTube. And remember, till next time, just be you. Peace.